Thank you very much, Aisha, and I would like to thank Dr. Fahad for all the support that we're getting for the task force. Welcome everyone, and thank you for attending this webinar. I hope you are all doing well and are safe and healthy. Coronavirus is an unprecedented global challenge that requires a coordinated global response. Fighting this global threat necessitates effective multilateralism, as was Dr. Fahad saying, through international cooperation and coordination, and also for laying the foundations for a strong economic recovery, one that offers a sustainable, balanced, and comprehensive growth after the pandemic. This crisis comes at a time when the world is already grappling with so many challenges, including the energy security on one end and climate change on the other. COVID-19 has distracted governments all over the world. 2020 was supposed to be the year of action for environmental negotiations, as both the Biodiversity Cup and the Climate Cups were set to be major environmental milestones. Under the Paris Agreement, this year was supposed to see countries raise their ambition and start to update their NDCs. COVID-19 has led to the cancellation, of course, to a long list of global major events, including the UN's Biodiversity Cup and the Climate Summit, COP26 this year. Thus, the G20 thus must fill the gap. The G20 with a central theme this year of realizing opportunities for the 21st century for all, empowering people, safeguarding the planet, and shaping new frontiers. Its role is indeed amplified. The G20 leaders committed to unify against this common threat of COVID-19. In fact, the G20 presidency called for $8 billion to combat coronavirus. Riyadh pledged $500 million. Due to COVID-19 lockdowns, the world experienced a historic carbon crash, cutting global CO2 emissions back by 4 to 8%, approximately 2 to 3 billion tons. Transportation, both air and road, have contributed most to this fall in emissions, which according to the IEA has fell to 50% of the 2019 level by the end of March 2020. In China, just 2 months of reduced pollution is likely to have saved the lives of 4,000 children under the age of 5 and 73,000 adults over the age of 70, according to a study by Marshall Burke from Stanford University. The air may have cleared, the emissions may have lowered, but the takeaway from this pandemic is not whether it has left the environment better or worse. It is not either us or the environment. Rather, if we can build a more sustainable post-pandemic world that balances between economic development, social prosperity, and environmental sustainability. The IEA identifies this as a historic shock to the entire energy world, where the world will use 6% less energy this year, the equivalent of losing the entire energy demand of India. This ruthless shutdown of the world's economy is not the answer, not to the climate change problem, nor to the COVID-19 crisis. We have to acknowledge that lower emissions are due to global economic paralysis, leading to collapsing oil industry, dropping oil prices, affecting oil economies, and causing a global recession. The coronavirus pandemic is a tragedy, felt harshest and hardest by our most vulnerable population, the poor, the elderly, the homeless, the stateless, just how climate change will be felt. The ILO chief, International Labour Organization, says nearly half of global workforce is at risk due to COVID-19, which could cause about 195 million job losses globally. In the USA alone, COVID-19 related job losses reached 26.4 million. the highest since the Great Depression. The world witnesses about 15 million climate-related migrants being displaced every year. Now, this displacement takes place under a pandemic. And at a time where the emphasis will shift to national recovery as a priority, in this context, climate change may seem like a luxury. The idea of spending scarce money on solar rooftops, electric vehicle charging stations, or renewable energy projects may seem unrealistic. In fact, any global challenges not directly related to COVID-19 today inevitably lose priority and salience. Countries will choose to prioritize economic recovery over environmental concerns, whether we like it or not. This is the reality. So the most important question becomes, what is the path to sustainable recovery? The Saudi G20 presidency is proposing the circular carbon economy, which offers a new way of approaching climate goals that implicitly values all options and encourages all efforts to mitigate carbon accumulation in the atmosphere. The CCE is based on the 4 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle, and remove. Reduce is reducing the amount of carbon entering the system, such as using renewable energy, nuclear energy, and including energy efficiency measures. The reuse is converting carbon to another useful industrial feedstock, such as carbon capture utilization, emissions to value, and recycle is recycling carbon through natural processes, decomposition, and combustion, like bioenergy recycle in the paper and pulp industry, and bioenergy with carbon capture and storage. And finally, remove is removing carbon from the system, such as carbon capture and storage, direct air capture, and nature-based solutions using whales and oceans as carbon sinks. In a post-pandemic stimulus packages, we will likely see fossil fuel bailouts, and the CCE approach is a golden opportunity to ensure carbon circularity and sustainability measures are in place. In our Task Force 2 on climate change and environment, we are working hard to prepare the final key recommendations to the G20 governments. We have 25 policy briefs being drafted today by over 190 co-authors from all over the world, 28 countries to be precise. And as we finalize our key recommendations to G20 government, with COVID-19 as a backdrop, how can we propose solutions to the world's most pressing climate problems that beg for action? We should all attempt to answer this question and reflect it in our policy briefs. Clean energy transition must be at the center of economic recovery and stimulus plans. We have a unique chance for a green, sustainable, and inclusive recovery that not only provides economic recovery, but also integrates strong climate actions for sustainable development. We must see the COVID-19 crisis as a lesson in how to address climate change quickly and cooperatively, and use this opportunity through the T20 to impact change. I would like to end with this hadith: if Earth's final hour comes while you have a plant bud in your hands, then you must plant it. Thank you.